Welcome to Catholic Mom Mindset, a daily show where you learn to walk closely with the Holy Spirit so you can live the life God is calling you to. I'm your host, Sterling Jaquith. Let us begin. Hello, welcome back. Today we're talking about the ways that we reject ourselves. So I was listening to this book, an audiobook called Cybernetics, and it was an old book. And it was written by a plastic surgeon, and he was explaining how over his many decades of being a plastic surgeon, the trends would change, and then what people would come into his office and want would also change. So he was saying at one point, being large chested was very in. So women would come and augment their breast size, and then and different times being smaller chested was in, and then women would come and have breast reductions. And he was talking about how really arbitrary a lot of those things are. Like, really, it's almost just who's popular at the time, either in movies or in music. And then we see those people and we want to emulate them. We form this idea of what is normal. But he said, floating outside of that and getting to see these trends, realized that they were just trends. There was no actual, this is what a normal body looks like. Because it was really the media and what was popular that was kind of dictating what people even thought of as normal. And it just got me thinking about ways that we reject ourselves, especially the ones that are arbitrary. And I think that's so common for Catholic moms. Like, we think, homeschooling is the way to go. So if we're not homeschooling, we reject ourselves. Or we think, being in private Catholic school and having lots of resources there is the way to go, so that if we homeschool our kids, then we feel bad. And that's just one example, but I think we're doing this in many different aspects. As women, as Catholics, as moms, where we just kind of create this list, right? We create this list in our mind of what we think is normal, what we think is socially acceptable. And then if we don't follow that list, then we think something is wrong with us. We reject ourselves. In our minds, we tell ourselves, hey, you don't fit in. You're not normal. You're not doing it right. Recently, an 11-year-old boy came over to my house to play with my 11-year-old. And I forget what they were talking about, but at one point, I hear one of them say, oh yeah, my daddy yells at us sometimes. And the other one went, mine does too. And in that moment, I could see that they both kind of thought their dads were the only ones that yelled. And I'm a life coach, and I hear this over and over again from Catholic wives. My husband yells too much at the kids. But what's too much? And I'm not in this moment saying that it's true or not true or being dismissive of it, but just think of how we have just made up a certain amount of dad yelling that we think is appropriate. And then when it crosses this line that we made up, we're like, oh, he yells too much. And so I was kind of joking with the kids and I said, yeah, everyone's dad yells. My dad yelled a lot. Probably not a lot, actually. My dad's pretty calm. Like, now that I know him, I'm like, I bet he yelled less than other dads. But dads have big, barky voices, so I think it's kind of startling for children, so it makes an impression. And so then they're like, ooh, my dad yells a lot. But what if everybody's dad yelled the same amount and it was just totally normal? Right? It would be like if you met someone and if they went to the bathroom 4 times a day, you'd be like, ooh, that seems like a lot. But we never say that. Most of us, actually, in this moment, as I'm thinking about it, I don't know how many times most average people go to the bathroom a day, but it's to the point where I don't even know what it is. And I think I go a normal amount. I think most people go a normal amount. I'm certainly not hearing people talk about that. So just notice how kind of arbitrary it is that we draw these lines and we say, this is normal, this isn't normal. But the reason I'm talking about this today is because when you have decided that something is abnormal, you kind of reject yourself. It's like going to the plastic surgeon's office and saying, something's wrong with my body. Something's wrong with the way that I'm raising the kids. Something's wrong with the way that I'm showing up in my life. And there may be some truth there. God may be moving your heart to contrition or to see something more clearly because he wants you to live with more virtue. But maybe it's like dads yell and we go to the bathroom and whoever's popular in the movies is the body size that we think is normal. Maybe it's an arbitrary thing and you don't need to be rejecting yourself. So I just want you to pay attention today. Pay attention in the ways that you feel yucky, bad, rejecting yourself. Just, wish I wasn't like that. And just pause and be like, why do I think that? How am I measuring that? What standard am I using? And who created that standard? I think this is just such a powerful question for us to ask as Catholic moms. All right, ladies, thank you so much for listening and have a blessed day. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Catholic Mom Mindset. To learn more about growing closer to the Holy Spirit, check out our free resources at madeforgreatness.co. Thank you so much for listening and have a blessed day.